By Times Union readers, Hamas should take blame for needless deaths. ViolenceThe cutline under a photo on the cover of the Times Union's recent Sunday Reasons section misplaced the blame for the violence in Gaza. It linked the deaths and injuries taking place to Israeli troops firing on Palestinians during a mass protest. In fact, the protesters were violently attempting to breach the border and invade Israel, a reality that even Hamas, the terrorist organization responsible for sparking the protests, has acknowledged. No nation on earth would tolerate such an invasion, and every nation on earth would use any force it could to repel terrorist invaders. Almost all of those killed in the incidents were members of Hamas, and that fact alone should prove that discretion and restraint were being shown by the Israel Defense Forces in defending the border. It is Hamas that should be assigned the blame for the casualties. Robert Cohen, Jacksonville Christians shouldn't apologize for being Trump supporters. If you read Leonard Pitt's recent column, you probably went away from it wondering what Christians and supporters of President Donald Trump had done to lead Pitts to declare that they don't need to be understood, they need to be defeated. In Pitt's view, apparently, all of the problems in America can be blamed on Christians. The first sin of Christians was turning out to vote during the 2016 election. Our second sin was to ignore the advice of the news media, Hollywood elites, big money donors, hip-hop idols, Planned Parenthood supporters and others who opposed Trump. Our third sin was to realize that while Trump does have feet of clay, so have all of our presidents, and some much more than others, but the bottom line is that, whatever his faults, Trump has done many good things, and made many noteworthy decisions as president. We have seen new provisions to outlaw the discrimination of government workers based on sincere religious beliefs. We've seen a rejection of radical transgender bathroom standards in public schools. We have seen the release of 3 Americans from North Korea. And we have seen Trump show good judgment in selecting a constitutional conservative for the Supreme Court, Justice Neil Gorsuch, and numerous talented cabinet appointees like Nikki Haley, Ambassador to the United Nations, and Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, Dixon, Harp Street. Augustine, Israel's response in Gaza disheartening. Tragic. It was disheartening to turn on the news recently and see Israeli soldiers firing live ammunition into crowds of Palestinians who were slinging rocks from Gaza into Israeli territory. A subsequent broadcast revealed that more than 50 Palestinians died that day from Israeli bullets. The Israeli government sought to justify this tragic result by stating that all countries have the right to defend their borders. While this may be true as a general principle, I don't think that any country is free to use deadly force against foreign civilians slinging rocks. This tragedy is all the more disheartening because the Jewish people, who have suffered horrific persecution throughout history, have historically been the most sensitive to and protective of the rights of oppressed people. When did the oppressed become the oppressors? George Rochford, Orange Park.